Hello and welcome to British literature, the 16th and early 17th centuries. This time period is also known as the English Renaissance. The text used for this course is the Norton Anthology of English Literature, 8th edition. You will need either the larger, blue, all-in-one volume with the Queen Elizabeth cover, or the smaller volume with the unknown youth leaning against a tree among roses painting on the cover. This smaller volume, Volume B, is part of a 3-volume set. This time period begins in 1485. It was certainly an exciting time to be alive. Henry Tudor, from the junior Lancastrian branch of the royal family, defeated Richard III, the reigning Yorkist king, at the Battle of Bosworth Field. Henry strengthened his right to rule by marrying Elizabeth of York, Richard III's niece and daughter of the previous king. Issue from this marriage included the future Henry VIII, whose personal desires catalyzed problems brewing in England for years. With the increase in published English works and readily available translations of the Bible, England began to experience a religious awakening. Literacy led to solitary reading, and solitary reading led to individual interpretations of the Bible. Catholics held strong to the strict Vatican analysis, while Protestants felt individual scrutiny was more important. This Protestant view underscores Henry VIII's decision to leave Catholicism, form the Church of England, divorce his wife of over 20 years, and marry the Protestant Anne Boleyn. Religion was not the only area affected by individuality. Artisans who traveled abroad sought to emulate the spirit of the Italian Renaissance, which saw a revival in interest in the works of the Greeks and Romans. Its inspiration can be seen in works such as Thomas More's Utopia and Edmund Spenser's Faerie Queene. Theater was becoming more popular and plays were staged frequently. Scientific advancements, harsh criticisms of society, American colonization, and true romance were on the rise. Issues of liberty and freedom were also gaining steam. So it was perhaps inevitable that in 1649, after years of increasingly tyrannical rule and religious uncertainty, Charles I was executed and the realm was turned into a protectorate. But this was short-lived. While Oliver Cromwell, England's original Lord Protector, had installed himself as a king-like figure, his son Richard Cromwell was unable to maintain the support of the military. So, in 1660, after only 11 years without a king, Charles II, son of Charles I, accepted the crown, re-establishing the monarchy in England. And so ends this time period. Like Geoffrey Chaucer, Thomas More worked as a page in a grand household before embarking on a literary career. He went on to study at Oxford before becoming Under-Sheriff of London, then Lord Chancellor under Henry VIII. It was during his service as a public official that he wrote his masterwork, Utopia. Utopia, a term heretofore unknown by man, was coined by More as a place of equality and prosperity, where work and leisure are endured and enjoyed in equal portions, education, healthcare, and childcare are free, and advancement is based on hard work. Originally written in Latin to reach a worldwide audience, Utopia was both celebrated and derided for ideas of eliminating personal property, forcing labor, and destroying the aristocracy. While More believed what he wrote, he also inserted himself as the voice of reason, noting that while the entire idea of utopia was possible, it was also highly improbable. For the first time since 1141, when Empress Matilda failed to inherit her father's throne, there was not one, but 4 viable women seeking ascension. First, there was Lady Jane Grey. Her claim to the throne came through her grandmother, Mary Tudor, who was Henry VIII's youngest sister and Henry VII's youngest daughter. Jane Grey's challenge was based on the questionable legitimacy of Henry VIII's eldest daughter. Mary Tudor, who happened to be named after Jane Grey's grandmother, was Henry VIII's eldest daughter and only surviving child with his first queen, Catherine of Aragon. Although declared illegitimate when Henry broke with Rome to establish the Church of England, the citizens of England recognized her right to rule. although many may have regretted this choice, as her bloody reign sought to return England to its Catholic origins at almost any cost. After Mary's death, her younger sister and only remaining child of Henry VIII, Elizabeth, inherited the throne. As a Protestant, she undid all her Catholic sister's work, returning England to the Protestant rule started by her father and expanded by her brother. Her rule, spanning 40-plus years, was one of political, economic, and literary advancement in England. Elizabeth's throne was threatened by Mary, Queen of Scots. Her claim to the throne came through her great-grandmother, Margaret Tudor, Henry VIII's older sister and Henry VII's oldest daughter. Dethroned in her native Scotland, Mary sought the throne in England. Her claim was championed by Catholics in England who suffered under Elizabeth's severe restrictions on anyone who did not share her faith. Born in 1564 to a family of some local standing, William Shakespeare was given at least the basics of education. His Catholic leanings, however, prevented him from going any further. Little is known about his youth, but his adulthood is filled with time as an actor, a playwright, and a writer of narrative poetry. Although Shakespeare seemed to have very little to do with it, his works have survived and thrived for generations despite ever-changing literary standards. Shakespeare's sonnets are unlike any sonnets produced during this time period. First, he often chose a man instead of a woman as a topic. Second, his poems were upbeat and reminiscent of his previous narrative efforts. Finally, he fashioned his own pattern of 3 rhyming quatrains followed by a single couplet. One of his most performed and best-written plays, Twelfth Night, or What You Will, was commissioned as part of the Christmas celebration in which the Twelfth Night's festivities were meant to be merry and light-hearted. The story involves a shipwreck, separated fraternal twins, unrequited love, and mistaken identity. John Donne was born in 1572, a bad time to be a Catholic, so he converted. This conversion was probably the greatest step he took towards his future as a man of literature. Known for his metaphysical conceits, in which 2 completely dissimilar items are compared in a metaphorical manner, Donne put passion, mostly towards women, in just about everything he wrote. This included his later career as a preacher in the Church of England. While Donne is famous for many writings, our focus will be confined to 2 of Donne's most famous genres. First, we have The Flea, in which John Donne uses the occasion of an insect bite as a reason for a frustrated young man to invite his lady love to lose her virginity. Next, we have A Valediction, Forbidden Mourning, in which a journey-bound sailor tries to console his lover by comparing their love to a drafting compass. Finally, we will be looking